Yeah, there's quite a lot of things that Jesus didn't talk about. Hello, Catholic Controversy here, and if you've been involved in religious debate for really any period of time, you've almost certainly heard, well, Jesus never said anything about this thing that you're saying is a sin, therefore it's not a sin, and I'm fully in the right for doing it. You primarily hear this in the context of abortion and homosexuality, but you'll hear it in the context of other things, and yes, it's true that Jesus never talked about those things, but Jesus also didn't talk about the proper way to handle a dead body. Jesus also didn't talk about not marrying your sister. Jesus didn't talk about quite a lot of rules and things that were laid out in the Moses books. The books of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, where God says unto Moses and all of Israel, these are the rules that you guys must follow. All of them, these are the rules, don't break from them. And if you've read through the book Bible cover to cover, as I'm currently in the process of doing, recently finished all the Old Testament and the book of Matthew, you'll notice that things repeat a lot. It's a lot of scenarios and themes. There's a lot of repetition. I'm not the only one to notice this. A lot of biblical scholars will point it out. And it really comes down to the parable of the master with the wicked tenants. In the parable, the master of the house has a bunch of wicked tenants at his house, so he sends some faithful servants to go handle the wicked tenants, and the wicked tenants refuse the servants and kill them. And then the master of the house sends his son to go do the same thing, and the wicked tenants don't accept him and kill him. A lot of people focus on the whole fact of that they killed the prophets before they killed Jesus, uh, but you kind of miss the whole thing of what he's sent to do because Jesus, in part, is sent to do the same thing that the prophets of the Old Testament were doing, and that is call people out for not following the rules. Because as you read through the Old Testament, quite a lot of times the books of the prophets are God working through a prophet saying, hey, Israel, these are the rules you guys aren't following. Shape up. The one that really sticks out to me is the book of Ezekiel. In it, God says to Ezekiel, these are, go call out Israel for worshiping other gods, worshiping their false idols, sacrificing their children to Baal, practicing occult magic, and a bunch of other things. And isn't the only time he does that. It happens in a bunch of other books. But as you read through these books, one thing you'll notice is that God doesn't say, oh, and by the way, you guys are doing a stellar job of not having corpses rotting in the center of the town. You guys are doing a stellar job of washing your hands after going to the bathroom. You guys are doing a stellar job at following some of these other rules. No, those that's just expected. God did not send Ezekiel and other prophets and his son to praise us for doing following some of the rules. He sent them to call us out for not following all of the rules and pointing out the rules that we weren't following. And in the time of the Old Testament, and particularly Ezekiel and other prophets, he's calling them out for these are the rules that you're not following. But by the time that Jesus had his time on earth, they weren't having trouble with those rules. They were able to follow them. They were doing a good job of not worshiping the false idols and the gods of Egypt and sacrificing their children to Baal and all the other things. But the main problem that they were having is that they were following the letter of the law to the extreme, to the point in which they were missing the spirit of the law. Uh, one of the stories that kind of pops out to me is when Jesus was healing people on the Sabbath, and how the Pharisees were saying, how dare you heal people on the Sabbath? The Father said that we should not do any work on the Sabbath. And Jesus basically says, no, you idiots. The Sabbath is not so that you don't do any work. It's not a forbiddance of work. It's so that you have a day of rest. And so that you are able to pray and pay homage to the Father and remember who your God is. It's not a call so that you will let someone die when you could have intervened because they happen to be dying on Saturday. That's not what the thing is. And Jesus is saying, no, heal people on the Sabbath. Just don't make that, put that above worshiping God. And another thing is that happened with the story of the adulterous woman. In it, the people are following the letter of the law to an extreme, is that there's this big, happy, angry mob ready to commit lawful murder against this adulterous woman because that is what is written in the laws of Moses, is that she should be stoned to death. And Jesus says, no, you guys are missing the point. How many of you have also committed grave sins? How many of you are pure and perfect? And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm not. I don't want to be held to the same standard and get killed. And yeah, they're not holding them to the standard. But at the same time, Jesus wakes them up and says, you guys are following the letter of the law to the extent in which you just want to commit lawful murder. You guys just want to kill someone. And I'm pointing that out because the point of the law is not to give you a reason to kill someone. It's so that you don't break the law. It's so that you honor what the Father has set out before you. And that's what Jesus is doing. His mission here on earth, his message here on earth, the message that he was sent to us by the Father is, and the things that he needs to call us out for at the time were following the letter of the law to the point in which you miss the spirit of the law. But Jesus didn't come and say, oh, and by the way, the laws of Moses, just forget about them. Only listen to the things that I directly say. No, he didn't come to say, I am completely separate from the book of old. He came here as an extension of the book of old. He came here as an extension of the Old Testament to continue to follow the laws set out by the Father and to continue to bring the message and calling people out for not following the rules of the Father. There's also the whole thing about being our sacrificial lamb so that we are saved from the test of hell. But again, it's not just that. So when Jesus said or didn't say all these other things that were expressly stated in the book of Moses, the books of Moses, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, it's not that those don't apply anymore. All Jesus really did is just offer some clarification on some things that people were getting confused about. He didn't say that those rules don't apply anymore. So if he didn't say it, still applies. This has been Catholic Controversy, signing off. May God bless you.